Well, everybody, this is a singular honor for me. I think all you guys will enjoy this as well. We have with us a Larry Hankin, who you might not recognize the name, although a lot of you might, but you will certainly recognize his face and his voice. You know him as Mr. Heckles on Friends, as Old Joe from Breaking Bad, as Barry, who played Kramer in the show within a show on Seinfeld. For people like me who are huge fans of 70s and 80s television and movies, you know him from Armed and Dangerous, episodes of It's a Living, Newhart, That Girl, and Lou Grant. It is Larry Hankin. How are you, Larry?
Wow, that's yeah. I guess I'm fine. I guess I'm terrific. One correction. Yeah, I was on Friends, but Barry is a show. Barry,
Oh,
Bill
yeah,
Hader.
yeah, yeah, that's right. You
I,
were
I was
Mr.
on that.
Pepper.
I was
On-
the hitman.
That's right. Yeah, on Seinfeld, your name was something Pepper. I don't remember the first name.
Tom. It was
Yeah,
Tom.
that's right. You are probably one of the more famous character actors that's out
That's
there.
true. Really?
Oh yeah.
No kidding. I have
How?
no idea. I don't. I'm not. I'm not in show business. I mean, in my little bailiwick, in my mind, I'm not in show business. I'm a guy who lives down the block and lives across the street from that restaurant over there.
Well,
But cool.
that was kind of my first question. Do you sort of view your career as the best of both worlds? You work a lot. Obviously you can make a living doing acting and making films, which I'm sure is, since you do it so much, I'm sure is your passion. But you're not necessarily hounded by paparazzi and things like that, like the quote unquote A-list stars are. Do you kind of look at that as the best of both worlds?
You would think so, but no.
Okay.
No. I'm. It's a kind of a. It's a well-known small fact, but no, I think of myself as popcorn. And that's a philosophical kind of attack on the subject. Popcorn, in that it's a kernel of corn, a person I am, a kernel of corn that is constantly in the process of popping. In other words, I always want to grow. I'm never, I don't want to be here now. I want to be there now.
Mm-hmm.
So I am never satisfied. It's very frustrating, but that's how it is.
Yeah,
I got to keep going, man.
Your
This ain't the end.
your filmography, I think, would certainly bear that out. That you've taken on lots of different roles. You started on That Girl in 1968. That's the first credit that I have.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, I didn't even know that. I thought my first credit was Laverne and Shirley. Where does that come in? Because I thought that was my first. I guess I was up in San Francisco, and I didn't count That Girl because I was living in San Francisco, so that was just a blip.
Okay.
Something that. But yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'll take IMDb's word for it.
But so starting from 68 and working up until now,
Yeah.
and into the future, obviously the business has changed. Are you being arrested?
Yeah. No, but I think my apartment building is on fire.
Oh,
They
no.
just went fast. Okay, we're cool.
But starting in 68 and working, up until now in the future, obviously the business has changed quite a bit. What do you
Wow,
think?
yeah.
What do you think is the biggest change as far as the movie making business goes?
Okay, the thing that pops into my mind is the internet. I mean, and therefore access. And you would think that the internet gives you more access, but no, it gives you less. I could call up when I first started. This is like in the dark ages. You could call an agent and say, "Hey, can I have an interview?" You could get an agent a little more easily than you can now because everybody assumes they have access to agents or producers or directors or whoever you want to call. millions of people. They call from Austria. So, it's almost impossible to get connected in Hollywood. That's why I don't kind of focus on it. That's why I do my own things, and I kind of get fed up every once in a while with the fact that you would think with all my credits I could get anyone to take my phone call or interview. No, that's not true. So it's a lot harder access. I guess that's the answer. Access.
Yeah. You were in Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood.
Oh, was he in that too? Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, he was in it. Yeah.
Would you consider that kind of the big break of your career?
No, not at all. That was, in other words, that was the epitome of my career. Do you realize that I got co-star billing with Clint Eastwood, and that was my first major motion picture?
Yeah.
And that was, what was that? 79, around there, 79 or 80, something like that. So I just right out of the box, I moved down here. So that was my official, feeling that I was in Hollywood. When I moved down here and was sleeping on people's couches, and the first thing I got, and that's why I say Laverne and Shirley, was the first thing I got when I moved down here was Laverne and Shirley. Or I kind of got that and then moved down here. In other words, Laverne, what was her real name? Penny Marshall.
Penny Marshall, yeah.
Yeah, Penny Marshall saw me in the committee up there. So I was living in San Francisco and with the committee. So she came up there, and I got a call saying, would you please come down? We want to interview you because we want you on the show. So I went down for the interview, and I got not only the interview, but I went down for the interview. I was hired, and then I got Laverne and Shirley, and then I moved down and was couch surfing, and then I got Escape from Alcatraz. So I went from being, I was a guest star, I guess, role in Laverne and Shirley, and then co-star in Escape from Alcatraz, and it was downhill from there for years.
Well, I like Escape from Alcatraz, but seeing your work, I don't know that I would totally agree that it was downhill.
Well, to me, because there's three things that this agent that I got because of Laverne and Shirley, and he stayed with me for quite a while, and I was getting tired of, I don't know. So what he said was, there's only three things that count in this town, and you have to get two. And it was billing, money, and role. And he said, if you're anybody, if you have any kind of power at all, you must get two of those three. And major stars get all three. And I was getting a huge amount of money, and I got billing. So I got two of those three right out of the box, almost my second job, I believe. So, and then when I say downhill, I never got that billing I never got that billing.
Oh, okay.
Co-starring billing. I always got all those things with guest star billing. And I just got tired of it, So I just started doing my own thing and making my own movies. So then Hollywood became an ancillary money machine. It was just like an ATM. That was all. It was just because I spent millions. Well, not millions, but hundreds of thousands, I guess, on my films. I have 30, at least a minimum of 30 films. I don't know. Some were 20 minutes, and some were a minute and a half. I just got tired of the Hollywood begging. People call it auditioning, but it's, please hire me every 2 or 3 months, because even if you do a major motion picture, it's 3 months work, and then you're on the street again. So you got to save your money, and there's that whole thing about the fact that you have to figure, I'm getting like hundreds of thousands, well, not me, hundreds of thousands, but thousands of dollars for this one role, and then 3 months later you're out of work and you got to make sure that money you got,
Right.
which is fun, is going to keep you going until you get your next job. You know, and then your next job, not necessarily as much money as the one you just, you know, it's a crapshoot down here.
Right.
Down here, on the East Coast here. So my looking at Hollywood is not how my fans or your fans or any fans look at it. You know, it's just a whole different world if you're looking at it from the inside out. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sure. That kind of dovetails you making your own movies nicely into my next couple questions. I want to talk about Solly's Diner for a minute. Now, this was a short film that you wrote, directed, produced, and starred in 1980. It was nominated for an Oscar.
Right.
And I've seen the other films that year. I saw the film that won. Nice film, but I have to say I don't quite agree. Your film is hilarious. And just
so wait a minute, what don't you agree and what you do? I don't know which one you're talking about.
I think you should have won.
Oh, right. Me too. I was pissed. I went to that thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Academy Awards because my film was in it, and I'm sitting there, you know, and I had because I was starving at the time. I had spent all my money on that film because I wasn't established in 1980. The money that I got from Escape from Alcatraz went into Solly's Diner. So all the money that, you know, I paid off a lot of debts with the Escape from Alcatraz salary, and the rest I spent on rent and Solly's Diner. So I went to the Academy Awards, and to do that, I had to buy my girlfriend a nice dress. You know, nobody has a dress that you're going to wear to the Academy Awards,
Right?
Because you're only going to wear it once. You know, and and I had to wear a tuxedo. So she said, "Hey, man, if you got a tuxedo, I got to look cool too." Right. So you know, we went shopping. So we had that, and then we had to get a limo, and it was like a big deal. And then I didn't win. What the hell? And what was all that money for? What the hell did I buy her the dress and this tuxedo and the limo? What the heck is going on?
So it was not an honor to be nominated then.
No, no.
It was a burden.
It was it was a trick. That's what it was. It pulled the rug. No, I really was pissed. If you're nominated, you're going to get it. That's it.
Right.
Next question.
So obviously, you know, and anyone that wants to check out Solly's Diner, it's available on YouTube, on Larry Hankin's YouTube page. It is hilarious. I love the movie. It's
based on Chaplin, is what it's based on.
Yeah, it's very dry, and I like it a lot.
Because it's a homeless guy. Now, I'm not a ballet dancer.
Right.
But no, it's a homeless guy being a hero. That's all. That's the end of it. I mean, the relationship. But yeah, I wanted to do it, and it was a mistake. That was an experiment. That wasn't supposed to go anywhere. That was just between me and the cinematographer. He needed a reel. That's why I did it. He came to me. He said, "Larry, I need a reel," because he was a camera operator. Mm-hmm. I'm making motion pictures, but he wanted to be a cinematographer. But he didn't have really good reels that he could say he was the cinematographer of. So he said, write a film. And I'll be the cinematographer because I need a reel. And hey, you'll have a little film. I mean, that was as far as it went. Mm-hmm. And I said, how much? What is it going to cost? And he said $5,000. Well, nowadays it would be millions, but
right.
Then it cost me $20,000 by the time we were finished. It was like almost a run and done, but not quite. And so I saved up money. It took me 6 months to get $5,000 saved up for the film, doing little TV shows and stuff like that. Which is where I got the idea of, I see, Hollywood is an ATM machine. If I just just keep working, I could save up money and make my own films. And I thought that was really a cool idea. So I did, and then I got $5,000 in cash in small bills. I put it in a brown paper bag, went over to his house, and I just gave him the brown paper bag. I said, "Here," and I left. I like the Bo Jest. I like Bo Jest.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, wow, if I just, I won't even show him the money. I just, here, he opened the door, and I said, "Here," and I handed him a brown paper bag, and before he could say, "What's this for?" I left. I just turned and walked away. So he shut the door, and then, about an hour later, he called me back, and he said, "Oh, hey, man, okay, give me 2 weeks to get my crew together, and we're going to shoot, so you better hire some actors." And boom, we were off to the races. It took place in a diner, which was right across the street from this little walk-up that I had, that I was living in, a real cheap place. And there we went. He called me back and he said, "Okay, I got my crew. You got your actors?" And I said, "Yeah, it was just two of my friends who are actors." And we shot the movie in this little diner, really tiny little diner. I think there were about 8 tables or something. And then we both. Here's a hint for all you young or even old filmmakers: never edit your movie with the cinematographer, because he wants real shots. He wants really cool shots to put on his reel, but have nothing to do with the narrative. So we were fighting constantly because I didn't know how to edit at the time. I didn't know how to direct. He wanted me to direct. And in the editing room, I figured out why. He said, he'll help me, because he worked with some big directors.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay. But, he figured, well, he has control, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I was directing, but, So at the end, he said, I think it's the last shot. No, it's the opening shot. It's a tracking shot. And the opening shot, and we were losing the light. It was a night shoot, and the diner had a huge picture window, and the sun was coming, when it came up, was going to come right through that window. I mean, the window was facing the dawn. And we didn't have anything to cover that big window with. So it was the last shot, and we were arguing over where to put the camera, and I wanted the camera facing the window, and he said, "No, that's not a good shot." I wasn't aware of the fact that the sun was going to come up by the time he had lit, where the camera was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So he kept on saying, "No, we don't have time. We don't have time." And I said, "We do have time. God damn it! I'm the director." I put my foot down, and this big hissy fit in the middle, and he said, "Hey, man, you're freaking out the crew." So I said, "Well," and he said, "Take a walk around the block. I will change the shot. I'll do what you said, but get out of here, man. Just calm down and walk around the block, and when you come back, we're going to do it." And I said, "Fine." I walked around the block, and when I came back, he had set up the shot for his shot.
Right.
Cool. And he said, and then he pointed at the sky, and it was kind of that gray purple that the dawn is coming.
Yep.
And he pointed out the window, and he said, "We can't do your shot. By the time we get this reset, the sun is going to come right through that window, and it's over, and we can't do it." So I gave up. I mean, I saw the writing on the wall, and I said, "Okay, no argument. Let's just do it, man." Boom, and we shot it. We got it up in time, and then we started editing and arguing in the editing room. So it was like a horror trip, but really, that's the way movies are made. Maybe not with as much of my attitude of, just freaking out the crew. Although I think he said that just to get me out of it.
Right.
But arguing, I was arguing for it. But making a movie is a bunch of unintended consequences. That's what making a movie is: unintended consequences and figuring out the problem right then and there. And I learned a big lesson. Anyway, after it was all finished, I was so frazzled that I just wanted to see the character that I was playing, this homeless guy. That was the only reason I had started the project in the first place. So I didn't even want to release it. And Harry wanted to enter it into the Academy, into the Academy Awards. And I refused. I said, no way. This is not good enough for that. But that was all that stuff in my head. And he said, okay. He said, all right, man, whatever. And we just hung it up, and that was it. And then he calls me back a couple of weeks later, and he said, I got good news and I got bad news. I said, what's the bad news? And he said, I entered it into the Academy Awards. I said, oh, man! Because here's what I thought. See, this is how naive I was. I thought if you entered your film into the Academy and it was refused, you could never enter your film, any other film, ever again. Now, I don't know where I got that from.
Okay.
I was a young man, very confused, and, I had just done two things, and this was all the money I had from Escape from Alcatraz, and I thought it was a failure. So, no, I didn't. And so he said, I said, what's the good news? And he goes, we got accepted. And I go, cool. I said, great. Great. And then when I saw it, when I saw it, in front of an audience and stuff, it had to be shown. When you get accepted, you have to show your movie for 3 days, I think, in a neighborhood movie theater. It has to be booked just for 3 days, and then you can be shown. So when I saw it in front of a movie theater, I saw that Harry was right. Thank God he had sent me to walk around the block. The first shot was the right. He was right. He was totally right. And I go, boy, thank God he sent me around the block. So, then that's what started me in making my own films. From then on, I thought, I see. I do know what I'm doing. I just didn't know that.
Right.
So Harry kind of proved that.
Do you think that if your career started right now, if you were 22 again, 24 again,
right,
you would.
Oh yeah.
You would think you would probably go, doing
film school. I would go to film school in a drop of a hat. I would go to UCLA or USC. I don't care what. I would sell my soul to go to UCLA, to start with the kids and as a young man and just make films. I would be a Woody Allen or a Charlie Chaplin or those guys. Whoever makes your own film, whoever you are. I don't know.
Do you think that would be a better route? Do you think that would be a better route than doing your own stuff that you could put up on YouTube or getting a deal with Netflix? There seems to be a lot of different avenues for filmmakers now to sort of
Louis
get
C.K.
in.
Louis C.K. I mean,
right.
Before he went under, but
yeah,
I mean, he was right. No, but here's one thing I guess you don't know, and that's the key to me. I think I'm a stand-up comedian. I am not an actor. And I started out in show business as a stand-up comedian opening for Woody Allen and Miles Davis. Way back in the day when I was just a kid, actually. Right out of school. And right out of school, I just went to Greenwich Village with Carl Gottlieb, who wrote Jaws. We were just buddies in Syracuse. So we got an apartment in Greenwich Village, and I started in the coffee houses. He started writing reviews for movies. He's always been a writer. And I just started as a stand-up comedian. And I was opening for Woody Allen and Miles Davis and the Kingston Trio and all those big acts. And but I was doing Lenny Bruce type of stuff, George Carlin's type of stuff, Richie Pryor stuff, when they were around. Well, we all knew one another. We were playing the same nightclubs and stuff. And then I couldn't take what Lenny was getting, and maybe not what Richard Pryor. Yeah, what Richard Pryor was getting too. In other words, I was being attacked. I was being pulled off the stage by police and things like that.
Censorship charges and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, crazy. People were throwing stuff at me. Guys were coming at me out of the audience with beer bottles in their hands. A nightclub, with a beer bottle. They get off the stage. We want the Kingston Trio. Oh, okay, man. Okay. So I called my manager, who was Woody Allen's manager, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm not Lenny. I don't do that stuff. I can't take it. I'm a middle class Jewish guy. which I guess Lenny was too.
Right.
Evidently. But I don't know. I said, I'm not geared for this. So he said, well, why don't you join Second City? I mean, you've got that satirical bent, you know. So join Second. So that's what I did. I joined Second City, auditioned and got it, and got into the company. And then from there we split. So in other words, I was always doing stuff out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to say, you know, well, what about making your own movies if you were 22 again? I would still be making stuff out of my own head. That's the point.
Right.
Is that I got stuff in my head that I want to see or say or get the reaction to. So that's why I would, if I started over again. I only came to this conclusion that I'm telling you in the later years, where I suddenly realized, oh, I see what these films I'm making are. Is that the stuff is out of my head. I get it. Not acting other people's words, which I thought was kind of cool, you know, if you don't know where you're going. See, I'm a late bloomer.
Right.
That's it. Plus, I have ADHD, so that's like double whammy. You know, sometime like today. Yesterday. I was going on a set of baskets.
Mm-hmm.
I was baskets. Yeah, just yesterday. And a lot of times I didn't know what was going on. Now, these people are professional. I'm professional. I've done a lot of work. You see my resume. But they improvise a lot. Now, I was in the committee. I was in Second City, so I wasn't improvised. But I haven't improvised in years. And improvisation is a muscle. It ain't a creative brain thing. It's a muscle, and acting is a muscle. Anything, I guess. Repetition and doing it, and you just got better and better and better. But I haven't done it in years. And Baskets improvises a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd say 90%. Well, not 90%, but I would say 80% of what you see on television the last 3 years, I guess, or 4 years, is improvisation, and they're getting more and more as they go along. So I was totally, I guess, you know, underwater. I was drowning. Hankin, you're so talented. Yeah. You know, but you know, I'd like to know what I'm doing. But I think in other words, the director was getting, working with me. So, I mean, I was getting the job done. I think you will not know when I was confused and when I was not, because I was doing a character that was confused. That was the character. So it was working for me, and I was using it. But still, man, I kept on saying, hey, man, I don't know what's going on, so I'm in your hands. You know, so he would say, you know, I just improvise this again, improvise it again, improvise it again. The key to improvisation in the theater, where you are making money at it, where you have people coming in, so you can't just experiment and crash and burn every night just to get one good scene. You know, you got to bring it.
Right.
So the point about improvisation is that, and Alan Meyerson told me this. I don't think anybody else ever mentioned this or discovered this. But in an improvisation scene that Second City does, the committee does, Groundhogs do, all that stuff, it's a finite number of permutations. Just got to remember that. If you improvise a scene about a teacher in a classroom with a student, you do it and it doesn't come out. You just say, well, do it again. Okay. And then you do okay. And then you say, oh, well, the opening was kind of good, so just keep that, but improvise the rest. Blah, blah, blah. And you just keep improvising. The point being that for the director to keep up with the scene, like it wasn't successful, but there's an idea there. I mean, the idea has to be there, or just forget the scene. Well, let's go on. But if there's an idea there, you go, okay, do it again, but just play with it. Just improvise it again. The point being that if the director, not the actors, but if the director sees an idea there, what you do is you keep them improvising until all the parts of your idea are there. because there is a finite number of permutations, so that eventually they may get to other laughs that somebody else would like, but eventually, and this is weird, they will get to the idea you want them to get to. They take, 10, 15, 20, even 30 improvisations, but some ideas are worth it. So sometimes we would workshop some ideas in the workshop part of the show. There is a workshop part of the show where we just improvise every night a new scene. Where you keep that in and you go, do that other scene again tonight, only improvise it differently. Improvise it differently. And we would do some scenes for about at least a month until it was in shape. And then we would do it. And then when Alan said to me, okay, I want you to direct the next show because I got to go to New York to do some business, I said, okay. And I said, but, give me a secret. Give me, how do you work this thing? And that's what he told me. He said, if you see there's an idea in it, just keep them improvising until the idea you saw is whole. Mm-hmm. And I did that, and son of a gun, he's right. For some reason, there's a finite number. I mean, they find that they would, improvise the last half. The first half is cool. Just play with the last half, and they would come around. But here's the. It's not the downside, but it's the other part, the other half of the secret. If you're the director and you're doing that, you can't take responsibility or any kind of award or reward for the scene. The scene is the actors. You can't say, hey, I knew. You can't go, hey, I knew that's what the scene was going to be a month ago. You can't, no. You can't do that. It's their scene. They did it. They created it. Moving on. So that's, so finally when the show opened, it got a really good review. But the guy who was interviewing me said, I got the review. I still saved it. He said, what is the worst part of directing an improv show? And I said, there's 5 actors between me and the audience. So that was that. But you can't say that. You can't tell that to the... Right. Well, the show opened, so then I could say it. But while we were creating the show, that's all I said. I know where this scene can go. I know the punchline. I got it, No, yeah, by the way, even though I know the punchline, no, they wouldn't get to the exact words you had. But the idea was, there and then. So, yeah, but it was still always in the back of my mind is I got stuff in my head I got to get out, Got a head full of ideas that are driving me insane. You said that. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Stephen King. Stephen King one time said that his writing is like therapy for him. People go and pay a bunch of money to get all their things out to a therapist, but in his world, people pay him to create these tapestries of everything inside of his head. Yeah.
That's what writing is, and in improv, that's I don't know. I mean, it is revelatory, at least to the audience, if not to you yourself. But yeah, it is. But writing is much more direct. I mean, you are totally. There's nobody coming in with another line to take you off in another direction.
Right.
Because you got to be open to that. But in writing, you are the god of a blank.
Yeah.
And that's a very powerful feeling. But it's also revelatory. Mm-hmm. I look at some of the screenplays or some of the writings that I've done, like say 4 or 5 years ago, and I go, "Oh wow, man! This is what I was thinking. This is what was bothering me," and I remember it related to that. I broke up with my girlfriend, and it's coming out in the writing, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so it is there. It is therapy, and it sure does help.
Yeah, I've done some writing as well, and, like the one thing that I always tell my wife is you cannot keep yourself out of the writing. It's impossible.
Yeah. Well, actually, you can. I know Jim Crenna. It's not... you have to work hard at it.
Right.
But like Jim, I was talking to Jim Crenna, who was an improv actor of mine, of ours, up in the committee. And he was great. He was really funny and terrific. And, you know, we each had our little bailiwicks of expertise. You know, the one guy was great on religion, another guy was great on poetry, and this guy was great on that. And Jim Crenna was just funny, bizarre. I mean, it was, so I said, well, you know, do you write? And he goes, oh, yeah, I write all the time. I said, do you see yourself in the writing? He says, I don't write about truth or reality.
Okay.
And I go, that's impossible. Yeah, exactly. And I said, that's impossible. He says, nuh-uh, not me. But, yeah, I read his writing. It was funny, but there was Jim was missing.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship, the nitty gritty, relationship. You know, because that's a key to narrative. Relationship, the heart. You know, the nitty gritty. So his stuff was really funny, but it was just clown. It didn't go deep. It didn't go down. So that was a weakness in his writings, and that's what showed me. It takes a long time to really not lie on the page. It's tough, you know. Hey, writing is writing.
So between stand-up comedian, or you know, from stand-up comedian to improv to acting to making your own films, was there a definitive moment where you said to yourself, "Hey, I can do this. I can make a living doing this. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life"?
Well, I did when I first got down to L.A. and I did Escape from Alcatraz. You know, I had and I got $35,000, which I immediately cashed, and so I saw it. I just wanted to see it, and then I put it in the bank, and I thought at that moment when I saw that cash and I had it in the bank, and then, you know, started paying off stuff. But yeah, then I thought, wow, I'm a success. Here I am in Hollywood, co-starring with Clint Eastwood. So at that moment, I thought, well, I'll do this for the rest of my life. You know, you can't beat that high of, and also the director, Don Siegel, liked me. You know, he I was kind of his pet in a way. He would be always putting me on, you know, but he was did it like a good dad.
Right.
He was kind of taking care of me, you know. But he would always say, like when I was left behind in the escape and I was left in my cell, he wanted the character to cry, being left behind, and I said I couldn't cry. I wasn't an actor. I was an improviser.
Right.
I don't know how to manufacture emotion. I didn't have the tools. So I made up a whole story about how my character, in the backstory I built for my character, which was a lie, he wouldn't cry in this situation. So he looked at me, he goes, really? I go, yeah. He goes, okay. Carol, and he called over his assistant. He had this young lady, about 28, I guess, I don't know, young lady. And she came over and said, Larry, I want you to tell Carol what you just told me about your character. And she didn't know what I was talking about, and what he was talking about, and neither did I. So he said, no. I said, go ahead, just tell Carol. So I turned to Carol and I said, well, I said my character wouldn't cry in this situation because in the backstory, he's just not that type of guy who would cry in this situation. And she still had a blank look on her face, didn't know what was going on. And he turns to her and he says, what the fuck is he talking about? And then he looks at me and it's just very endearing, you know, what the fuck is he talking about? And he points at the ceiling, like, you know, they make this big arc in the sky. And it's half arc from one side of his body to the other, and he points about 3/4 away over to the left up in the air, and he goes, "You see that point right up there? I got this movie, this big arc of a movie, and right up there, 3/4 of the way through, with all these guys in jail, all this testosterone and stuff. I need another emotion. Right about there, I need, I don't know, somebody to cry. Do you know who's right there? That's you, Larry. And you're going to cry in 3 hours. You better get ready." And then he walked away. And it was just like that. So, she was stunned, and she shrugs her shoulders, and she walks away, and I go, okay, So I go into my dressing room, I try to cry. I couldn't cry. So I just, just blew it off. And I'm playing cards with the crew for about an hour, and then the crew looks up behind me. There's somebody behind me, and I look around, and it's Don Siegel. And he goes, "Larry, what are you doing?" I go, "I'm playing cards." He goes, "You have to cry in about an hour. Are you ready?" And I go, yeah. And all of a sudden I thought, well, he said, "I think you better go back. I don't think you're ready." So I stopped playing cards because he's standing right there, and I said, "All right, well, I'll go back to my..." Just to get away from him. I didn't know what the hell to do. Mm-hmm. As I'm walking away, he said, "Well, try slapping yourself." So I go into my dressing room, I'm slapping myself. I'm like, "What?" My face is getting red, but I don't care. I'm going to get fired. I'm going to just forget this whole thing because it's just bothering me. So I go on the set. Knock. You're up, Larry. Okay, so I go and I say, "Sit down," and he gets the camera. I'm in my cell. He gets the camera about 4 inches from me. If you look at the shot, it's a choker. It starts at my clavicle, mm-hmm. my Adam's apple. I don't know. So he gets the camera right in my face, and he says, "All right, Larry, this is a really important shot. So you ready to cry?" I nod my head. Yeah. He says, "Okay, roll it." And I'm trying to go, nothing. He says, "All right, cut. Jerry, come on. Bring it in." Jerry comes over, this big fat crew guy. Comes in with a bottle of wintergreen with a blower on it. And he just blows wintergreen into my face. Tears are streaming down my face. And Don says, "Roll it." He rolls it, and then he goes, "Cut." "Great, Larry. That was fucking fantastic. Thank you." Next. He knew that all along the entire day. Oh, man. But he loved me, He just loved me. He thought that was really funny. But he did that he did that to Clint too. There's a point in the movie where we're in the only place where the convicts can talk or pass messages is once a week they go to the movies. So in the movie theater, in a dark movie theater, you can pass notes. So we're in the movie theater, but part of the movie. We're in a movie theater, and this is where they are passing the signal about the break is tonight. Mm-hmm. So it's just tonight. And so we're watching a movie. So we're all sitting in, and the camera is where the screen is, and it's a tracking shot. So as we're saying, "Hey, tonight," the camera is tracking the faces, down the row as the word is being passed. But he says, "But watch the movie, until you have to pass it on, but keep watching the movie." Okay, fine. He says, "Now I'm going to show a movie so that everybody is looking at the same thing and reacting the same way to what's going on the screen. Is that okay?" "Okay, Clint?" Clint says, "Yeah, it's fine." So we're in a movie theater. So he says, "Okay, roll it." And the movie he projects is the dirtiest pornographic movie I have ever seen. And we have to keep a straight face. Tonight. And as soon as you see the camera go away, just burst out laughing. Or watching the movie. It was kind of cool. But I mean, that stuff goes on all the time. So then I'm saying, after the shot was over, I said, "Man, that was so cool. That was really." He says, "Oh yeah, we used to do that in the old Hollywood all the time. I go, oh, really? He said, oh, yeah, like, for instance, and he tells, there's one shot in, the trailer, the Lost Ark, what is that? That's the Spielberg movie?
Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I think, and the second one where the guy who used to play, I don't know, there's a scene where Harrison Ford and his father are tied back to back in a chair.
Okay.
I think that's a scene yeah. So they're tied hand. So he said, like, that scene in whatever,
The Last Crusade.
Where Harrison Ford, yeah, is tied to that chair. He says, yeah. He says, they weren't wearing any pants in that scene. What do you mean? He says, well, it gets hot on that set. So they say, well, where does the shot cut off? They said, well, your waist. It's fine. So they both took off their pants. And that's done a lot, even in love scenes and stuff. I mean, because of the lights, not because it's sexual innuendo. It's just because it's very hot under the lights, and sometimes you can't leave the set to say, well, stay right there. We're just going to change a couple of lights. So, yeah, but a lot of stuff is like that where on the set it's not like what you're going to see in the movie at all. I don't know. That's just a little thing about Escape from Alcatraz.
Speaking of relationships that you've had with directors,
Mm-hmm.
I know you were in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, She's Having a Baby, and Home Alone.
Right.
Did you have a kind of a relationship with John Hughes?
Well, I thought I did, but no, not really.
Okay.
I mean, he liked my acting. He liked my acting, and he was really, very gracious and a very good host and a good, fine director. He was a great director. No, because he was too mercurial, actually. Sometimes he'd be, very friendly and open, and sometimes he'd just be dour and into himself and moody, and then he would fire somebody. Hey, I wonder, hey, where's John? Oh, he got fired yesterday. What for? I don't know. John fired him. So I kept my kind of distance. I didn't, because sometimes I say inappropriate things. I mean, not like Tourette's.
Right.
But I mean, like, just I'll say the wrong thing at the wrong time, because I'm not aware socially of what's going on. So I knew that about myself, so I didn't want to get in his face or say the wrong thing. He took us, one day he took us all, I don't know, 3 or 4 actors, 1, 2, 3, 4 actors, and his wife to a big to-do somewhere in Chicago, a big, huge party that somebody was playing, a mega party, I don't know. At some place, and we all, so he piled us all into his limo. He has his own limo, and we were riding in, and so riding to the place around 8:00, the car was, very convivial, and we were all talking, and we were going to have fun, and we're in the car with the director and the limo, and you have a chauffeur, and it's really great. We get there, and his wife went out dancing. He doesn't dance. He just sat there. He just sat. She's dancing and talking, and everybody's schmoozing and going on. And then on the ride back, he was just, I don't know, something had happened in there. Because he said, all right, we're going now. At some point, about 2 hours in, he said, all right, we're going now. And he didn't look happy at all. So he rounded everybody up, and because it's a huge place, you had to look for people. So he got him in, and the ride home was silent. Nobody spoke. And he just sat in the back. And I don't know, did somebody come on to his wife? What's, and and nobody even mentioned it the next day that we went to this party. So that was the kind he was very, very moody, but I tell you, man, he's amazing. One day I went for a costume, fitting into this, in Chicago, and I have this, like a Western costuming in Chicago. And there he is in the costume room while I'm getting fitted. He's typing. He's got a little chair, and he's on one of the tables, and he's typing away with typewriter, just a regular typewriter. And he's typing, and his son is there with his wife, and his son is asking him questions. He's typing, and then he would turn every once in a while and look at me and say to the costumer, "Give him a different shirt." And then he would go back to typing. So, what are you typing? He said, "That's in my next movie. I'm just working on it." So, wow, man, he's got his family here. His kid is talking to him. He's looking at my costume. He's typing another movie, which is not the one he's involved in. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And his next movie was a big hit. I don't remember which it was. I didn't ask him what the name of it was. He was typing. Yeah, I mean, these people are amazing. I don't know. But so that's the high point of this stuff. But here's what I'm beginning to see as I talk to not only you but radio interviews along the way, and that is, I'm a stand-up. I am a stand-up comedian. I was a stand-up comedian. I stopped doing it, but I never stopped being it. That's what I am. And now with these radio interviews, all these events that happen in show business, when I go back on the stage, that's going to be my stand-up. When I was a stand-up comedian and opening for Woody and the Kingston Trio, I was doing pop material and I was doing prior material, and I mean not his, but like his. Mm. But that kind of on the forefront, on the tip of the spear of comedy. But I couldn't take the blowback, man, of the anger. But now I see, but if I tell stories about show business, that's a whole, that's pretty cool. Right. So that's what I think is going to eventually, when I'm too old to do anything else, I'll tell stories about show business. But it is funny, man, and there's no business like it, except as Carl Gottlieb would say, well, there is the shoe business. That's like show business. But other than that.
So, a lot of our audience I'm sure will recognize you as Mr. Heckles, the downstairs neighbor on Friends.
Yeah.
It's funny, one of the episodes that a lot of our fans point to is the episode where you die, or you have died, and they kind of go through your stuff and everything. You left such an indelible mark, I think, on a lot of people in that role. How do you, and you didn't have a ton of lines or even a ton of episodes to do it. How do you make such a connection with a little amount of work?
Well, I don't. That's the first rule. I don't try to make connections with anything or anybody. I just do what's on the page or what seems right for the character at the moment in this particular scene. I'm very married to and adamant about process. Mm-hmm. I'm a professional, sincerely. In other words, once I'm in the ring, once I'm on the floor, once there's a camera pointed at me, for some reason, I go into professional mode, which doesn't look professional. I mean, but I'm serious about, like, for instance, in baskets. Yesterday, same thing. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. When you watch it, you will think, oh, wow, that guy's really cool. It's me. If I can stop all the bullshit that's going on around me and just be Larry Hankin saying these lines under these circumstances, even if I'm playing a Russian and I got to kill this guy, mm-hmm. I am me I am Larry Hankin with an accent, which I rehearsed that accent. Then I don't have to worry about fans or the director. That was an experiment for me, the Barry thing. I never did a serious role like that because I had some serious emotions that I had to go through that I'd never really done or been asked to do. And I decided I'm going to do it. I was not going to blow it off or try to fake it or go around it or I can't do this, so I'll do something else. I just plunged right in. And I really respect Bill Hader as a funny guy and as a professional, as an actor and as a director.
Yep.
He's at the top of the line. He never gave me one direction, man. He just left me alone and got coverage. And all I was doing was, I was there. In other words, I was there in that set doing that guy, and I was trying to decide whether to kill him or not. Just kill the guy I was there to kill or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that was going through my mind the entire time I was doing it. And Bill just never said a word to me, except before and after the shot. That's cool. We're going to just change the camera. Let's, just take it easy for 5 minutes and get you to do it again. And that was the entire conversation we had. It's a mystery to me, my connection to what you're calling fans. These people and kids who like me. I like them. I mean, maybe that's what the connection is.
Right.
I have no idea. But you cannot try to get fans. And if you do, I mean, maybe some people do that. I just don't know how that's done. And I don't believe in it. I'm kind of a genuine believer. But that came because of the committee and Second City. All you got is your brain and 5 other people, and maybe only 2 on the stage with you. You don't have a costume. You don't have any props. You just were told the character you have to play right now, so you have no time to prepare. But you have the process. There is a process to improvise, and if you follow the process, you'll get a fairly good scene, and if you're pretty good at it, you'll get a great scene. So I hate to go on like that, but fans, I don't understand some of the fans, why they like Mr. Heckles or why they like me. I'm glad they do, but that's not my focus at all.
Right.
Or I'd lose them in a second. Boom. So Mr. Heckles, I don't know. I really don't know. It's got to be the character. What they see is a whole person. That's why they're a fan, I think. In other words, if I'm believable to me, then they're believable. And I think fans or people, audiences, not fans, audiences like to be fooled, to believe that that's not Larry Hankin, that's Mr. Heckles. If I fool them, they like that. They like seeing, Harrison Ford not be Harrison Ford.
Right.
Yeah, and here's where I got it. When I was a little tiny kid, the only thing that not the only thing, but one of the things I really found funny was Charlie Chaplin. I loved Charlie Chaplin as a little kid. And as I grew up, like 10, 15, I would start to try to see Mr. Chaplin because, I would read books about Charlie Chaplin, and they would all say Mr. Chaplin or Charles Chaplin or Charlie. And no, I just pictured that little guy, the little tramp. That was Charlie Chaplin.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to watch his films. Oh man, with like magnifying glass, trying to see Charlie Chaplin, Mr. Chaplin. I wanted to see the actor under that mustache and the makeup, the white makeup, and I couldn't. That guy was incredible. He disappeared. He was the little tramp. Mm-hmm. You try look at the Chaplin movie, and you try to see, Charles Chaplin. And no, and he was the most famous person in the world when he was on. So, and any person that you like as a in show business and acting and that's why I think that's why I am a fan. Bryan Cranston, to me, I'm a big fan of Bryan Cranston. But in certain movies, like in Breaking Bad, man, you can't find Bryan. That's not Bryan.
Right.
I talked to Bryan. I talked to Clint Eastwood, the same thing. That's not Clint Eastwood, what you see on the screen. I talked to Clint Eastwood. He's a man. He's a guy. Now, the fact that he is... What was that? The fact that he was also... something to tell.
It's the police
the fact
again.
that he was also, yes, the fact that he was also the director of some of these things, and that he is almost, I got to say this, the character that he's playing in Escape from Alcatraz, anyway, because that's where I was talking to him, offset, is very close to him. He uses who he is off stage in creating the character that he plays. But no, he's not that guy. And Bryan Cranston and all great actors. That's what I try to do. I try to see the actor when I can't. I go, wow, man, that is so cool. You know, so I think that's what fans are attracted to. But like I said, I don't think about that. That's not my business.
Right.
My job.
That probably explains why interviews like this are popular. Because I suppose if you want to see at least some semblance of the real person, if you contrast their roles and what they play, for instance, like Bryan Cranston or you, with the interviews that they do, that's when you can kind of see the difference, I suppose.
Yeah, right. I mean, okay. I can never remember his name. Let me see if I remember his name. He's a young kid now. He's an amazing actor. His I don't know. I can't even remember that.
From Breaking Bad?
It's funny. No, this is an actor. What has he done? I'm trying to think of what he's done. Two girls and a boy. Two girls and a guy.
Ryan Reynolds?
Who?
Ryan Reynolds?
No.
Two girls and a guy.
Yeah, it's one guy in this one apartment. It was done, and he had two girlfriends, and they were fighting over it. His mother, he gets a phone call, his mother dies, so one of them falls in love with him because of the way he talks to his mom. I don't know, but anyway, I would listen to his interviews, and he would rattle on, and he was just kind of crazed. In other words, it was like he was on some sort of a speed. He wasn't. He wasn't. But he was arrested for I think, heroin maybe, and because and the judge let him go because I mean he wasn't really a junkie, and he's a great actor. But anyway,
Robert Downey Jr. That's who you're talking about,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, yeah, got him.
Robert Downey Jr. is an incredible actor. Incredible. Again, in some of his roles, he totally did. You cannot find Downey. But when he used to be on the radio, when he was in his crazed one, he would talk a mile a minute, and he would say, "Wow, this guy is." But when he got in front of a camera, and he even said that in one of his interviews, he said he was getting high on heroin because he would be totally whacked out of his mind, and he'd have to go to the set, and he totally remembered his lines and didn't screw up. He said this in the interview that he was amazed that nobody figured out he was like whacked out of his skull, and he thought, "Holy cow, I can do these dangerous drugs and remember my lines and totally be cool on the set." And he thought that was amazing, but he was crazy when he was being interviewed.
Right.
So that was the Jekyll and Hyde thing about who you are and who you're not and when you're acting. But that was the most different person I've ever seen. Robert. But Cranston, all of them, and Harrison Ford in interviews. I don't know why I keep on bringing him up. He's cool, but he's cool as eyes. But yeah, that's the different. Yeah, radio interviews, I guess, are very popular.
So you talked about Bryan Cranston a little bit. Obviously, you worked with him on Breaking Bad. You played Old Joe in, I want to say it was 4 episodes, I think, or 3. I know you were in season
Actually, 2.
Okay, well, I know you were in season 3.
You think I was in a lot. I was in 2.
Yeah, I know you were in season 3, and they brought you back for season 5. So they obviously
liked
what you did.
Yeah.
Now, what was
I think he wanted me to be in another one, but then they had to cut it. But I
okay?
was up for 3. Yeah.
What was it like working on that set with Vince Gilligan and Bryan Cranston?
Really great because there's very few sets that I've been on, and I've been on a lot, where everybody's there. Crew, hair, makeup, cinematography, actors, hangers on, were on the same page. Everybody knew what was going on and was there to make this particular scene we're doing, right on. Whatever it was. And I generally never go into my dressing room or Winnebago or whatever. I stay on the set all the time, even if I'm not working. I'll come a day ahead just to see what's going on. I just want to be there to always be part of, to see, what level of acting is going on, make so that, and be known and get to know the crew and everybody. Not a big handshake thing. I mean, just be present. That's all.
Right.
I'm not going around saying hello to everybody. I just want to be there, just so that there's nothing new to me when I show up and have to do my part. I want everything to be familiar. I do it for me, not to make friends. I just want to be in a familiar place. So when I'm working, I can just be on the set, on the floor of that particular scene. So that's my preparation. To be there. So Breaking Bad was like that. So that's Vince Gilligan is an incredible bringer together of, he cares about people. His crew, you, anybody. He's an amazing person. He is an amazing human being, Vince Gilligan. I can say that about him. And everybody, let me see, Brian was very moody. Got to say that. Brilliant actor. I love work. I was very proud to work with him, because I just was in awe. Because he can just be anybody, his resume. Okay, so the thing with Brian was that I got on Brian's nerves. So, but that's sometimes what happens, because I say the wrong thing or blah, blah, blah. But I was blowing lines. I don't know why, but I was blowing lines with him on his scene about the magnet. In that scene. In the first show, no, there was nothing. We were friends, I was talking to him and blah, 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 because I liked him so much. I just want to talk about process, So then that was cool. But the second one, I kept blowing lines, and he was getting really testy, And so about the third or fourth time I blew a line, he wouldn't look at me during, when we were talking. He would just look away as I was talking to him. He would look away. He'd look around at the junkyard and stuff. And, I thought, so I said, I got to take a break. So I stepped out of the scene. I said, I got to get out. So I went over to the director. I said, just excuse me, I got to talk to the director. So I went over to the director and I said, hey, man, look, I think I even said, hey, man. I think I said that. Hey, man, look, Brian, there's something wrong with Brian and me. I don't know what's going on, but he's just, I don't know, he's not feeding me the right lines. He's looking away. He's distracted. I think he's mad at me. And he said, what is he doing? He said, well, I would blow a line, and he would just get, really testy, let's focus, Larry, or, whatever. Or he'd look away, or he'd say, okay, look. And he said, why is he doing that? He said, because I blew a couple of lines. He goes, all right, actors blow lines all the time. Secondly, we're losing the light. Get back in the fucking scene and fuck Brian. We got a scene to do here. Get back in there. That was it. Okay, fine. So, in other words, I didn't understand. I didn't know other actors blow lines. So that was what put me back. And he was right. He just said, he said it in a very friendly way, but he did say, "Fuck Cranston, get back in there."
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't know what you're talking about, man. Actors blow. I don't know why you're disturbed about Brian. He's just another actor, which of course he was right, but to me, woo, you know. So that's the danger of being a fan.
Right.
You lose perspective. I was a fan of Cranston, and he got to me. No fan. Listen, this is process. This is work. We're working here. And part of working is making mistakes. Larry, it's okay, you know. So that was a lesson to be learned there. But still, on the way back, because it was a 45-minute drive from the desert junkyard back to home base camp, he didn't talk to me the whole time, Brian. and we generally, you know, have conversations, you know, going back. No, 45 minutes. Brian into his cell phone and his iPad.
Right. Have you ever thought about teaching acting? At least on a limited basis?
No, because I don't know how to act. I'm a pretender. I'm a stand-up comedian. I never went to acting school. When I did the Barry thing where I had to get that emotional thing and cry, I mean, well, I didn't cry, but my lower lip started to quiver because I was so emotionally involved. And when my lower lip started to quiver, Larry Hankin, went, holy fuck, my lower lip is quivering. This is good acting here. I mean, I was totally schizophrenic. And you watch the scene, I think they used that shot where my lip was quivering. And it looks like, oh my God, that guy, he's going through some kind of, you know, kind of emotional crisis. Yeah, I guess I was, but I was also thinking, holy cow, you know, like, wow, how cool. Yeah, weird. So I don't know how to act. I mean, that was a surprise to me. You know, I taught improvisation because I was really good, and I read the book, and I studied improv. I studied with Viola Spolin and Paul Sills, who ran Second City and stuff. They started it. So, you know, they were like the Lee Strasberg of improv, but I never studied acting, so I'm a pretender. I'm a faker, but I fake really well. In other words, I have good instincts, I guess. You know, but I couldn't teach it because every time I talk to an actor about acting, they tell me, you know, little secrets and stuff. Oh, wow, that's kind of cool. Like, for instance, a director telling me, actors blow lines all the time, Larry. I never knew that. I never knew that.
Right.
I have to have it down, man. Gotta get it down. So, you know, but thank you for asking.
So, you know, you've done a lot of TV. I assume that most of the time, although I don't know because I'm not in Hollywood at all, obviously, but I assume most of the time you're still auditioning. What's the audition process like for television, and how has it changed?
It hasn't really changed much. I mean, once you're in the room, right? That's a Hollywood phrase, by the way. I don't know, maybe they use it in other businesses, but when you say I was in the room, they know what you're talking about. Oh, the nitty gritty. You were improvising or pitching something. Mm-hmm. So once you're in the room, then it's pretty. I just have attitude problems. Once I'm in the room, I get an attitude. Who are these people? I know more than you. I'm auditioning you, and my agent. I kind of stopped that, but while I dropped out for about 4 years. I'm just coming back in. I've been out of the business for 4 years, and everything I did before the 4 years has still been playing all those 4 years. The internet, that's a cool thing. YouTube, it's all out there. So it looks like I never left, but I left for 4 years. So I'm back now. So, okay. So now I lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
About auditioning for TV, yeah.
About auditioning, yeah. So once you're in the room, I don't audition anymore because I don't care anymore. I mean, I want to do my own movies, and Basket thing, I did audition, but not for that. I turned down the role. Because, man, I have so much out there. You are talking about my IMD thing. If you don't know how good or bad or suited I am to your film, what good is it me coming into audition? I'm just going to do what you've seen me done for the last 10 years.
That's a good point.
What are you, crazy? And that's what I go in with. You're not going to get a job if you go in like that. So I stopped. So now that I'm back, I stopped auditioning. But if the role is good enough, if you get those three things or two of those things, sure, I'll audition. Because it's worth it to me, but I'm not getting those, and I don't want to be sent up for any. I just want to do my own thing now. I just want to do my own thing. I'll raise my own money. I auditioned for Baskets because I am a huge fan of Zach Galifianakis.
Mm-hmm.
He is the cat's pajamas. So anything that Zach wants me to do, fine. I mean, come in and audition. So I auditioned, but I turned down the role because there was a lot of memory. I don't want to memorize monologues and stuff. They go, you don't want to memorize monologues? You know, because all actors want to monologue. No, it's too much. I don't have time for that. I'm writing. I have to memorize. I got ADHD. Come on, give me a break. So I turned it down. So they called me back and said, hey, well, how about another role with less words? I said, well, let me see it. And they sent it to me, and I thought, fine. He said, but you have to audition. Ha ha! Okay, fine. It's a good scene. I'm a fan of Zach's. So this way, we both gave it. You know, cool. But it was a really cool role. I got to admit that. The first one I turned down wasn't that great either. So it wasn't like, you know, he doesn't know what he's talking about. No, I mean, the writing is very important now to me. So I guess that's what it boiled down to, because somebody asked me that question about why you wouldn't audition, but then you did. I think it was my manager who asked me that. No, it's the writing. If the writing is great, man, then I got a good shot at using my tools that I have in my bag to express and do a good job. That's what I want to do. Is I want to do a good job. And bad writing or weak writing, you're not going to do a good job. You're just going to make it work, as they say. You know, just make it work. Okay. You know, I know it's kind of weak here and there, but just make it work. Okay. And actors have to do that. You know, I mean, when I was young and starting and just using it as an ATM machine, I would just make it work. You know, oh man, this is awful. A lot of times I would be on set in costume, you know, and the camera is about to roll, and I'm thinking, what am I doing here, man? This is silly. This is ridiculous, you know? Hope my mom doesn't see this one. But, hey, man, you know, I'll make it work, you know, and you do. But then there's good writing, and finally, you know, like Bryan Cranston doesn't make anything work. He doesn't take a role that's bad writing, no, you know. I mean, he respects what he does. He respects his craft, you know, and then he respects the movie and he respects the screenplay. So after a while, you have to get there to just, you know, how about, am I making this work, or am I getting a shot at really working it, you know?
Right.
And so now, in my golden years, I want to work it, you know? I want good writing. And I think I'm writing really good stuff. My writing is really good. So you got to be as good as me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The gauntlet's been thrown.
The two things that you've done, that Just a Question is available on Vimeo. The code to use is question. So
right.
Everybody check that out.
Okay, then I'll give you. Yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, well, I got another one that's coming out in 2-3 weeks. It's like that one. The same character. It's 5 minutes. But it's different. But it's the same thing. I want to make a series of about 10 of these little 2.5 minutes to 5 minute. They're basically they're funny or satirical rants by this character, and we're going to get other characters in and start to make a little. It's going to grow. It's going to grow, but that's where I'm at right now, and it's going to grow into finally a movie, feature. But right now we're starting at 2.5 minutes. The second one is 5. Next one will be between those two, and then they'll start getting a little bigger till we get to about. Once we get to 10 minutes, then it's going to go to a screenplay. But we got about 10 more. No. 8, 10. Yeah. So that's it. Just a question, and the name of it's called The Problem. It's coming out in 2 weeks. Just a question, Vimeo. Question is the password. Those are the two. And then Sally's Diner is on YouTube.
Yep, absolutely.
Those are the big ones.
So, Larry.
Just one last thing.
Yeah, good.
On Vimeo, there's a 30 other ones. Some are great, some are not so great. But those are the 3 that are good. Okay, go ahead. Go.
It's been a pleasure talking to you today. We really appreciate you joining us here. You've mentioned it. You can see Larry in Baskets. Just a Question on Vimeo. I know you're in a big movie that you can't talk about right now.
Yeah.
Blink twice if it's Aladdin. Oh, I can't see you. So I guess that doesn't work.
Oh, they called me. They called me 2-3 days ago. They say, "Hey man, the NDA still applies. Do not talk about this."
Right.
And I shot it a month ago. Yeah.
So a big movie that we cannot disclose right now, but look for him in that coming up soon. And like I said, Baskets, Just a Question on Vimeo. Larry Hankin, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Okay, Mark. Take it easy, Mark.